Women's rights have been a struggle women have been fighting for quite a while. And on the show today is the very first English language book published concerning women's rights. This book is titled The Laws, Resolutions of Women's Rights and was published in 1632. The book was written by the English feminist and writer Margaret Cavendish. The subject matter of the book is the advocacy for women's education and recognition of their intellectual capabilities. It can be said that this book is the pioneer of the early feminist movement. This book, the first of its kind that pioneered the fight for women's rights, would be valued at...
And it probably has an auction estimate in this condition of $6,000 to $8,000.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
I am serious.
Oh my goodness.
He owns two cherished bronze statues admired since childhood. The bronze castings are attributed to Émile Picard, a French artist with origins around 1870. His bronze works captured intricate details and textures with remarkable precision. Picard crafted various sizes, including a larger version featuring both spouses and siblings, King Mentophis and Queen Nitocris. After his murder, she invited the conspirators to a banquet and drowned them in a specially prepared room, sparing only herself. Picard preferred bronze for its durability, ensuring his intricate creations endured. Bronze's versatility suited Picard's expressive style, enabling precise capture of details and dynamic poses. The patina on the base should have a rich golden hue. With meticulous scrutiny, the appraiser valued the item.
At auction, you would expect them to bring between $12,000 and $18,000 for the pair.
A wonderful necklace, laced with various rhinestones, is presented today on the show. This piece was passed down as an inheritance. The necklace was made circa 1950 by a now-defunct company called Juliana.
And so now we know the jewelry as D&E.
Although this type of jewelry has different sizes, the piece on the show is what is referred to as the gargantuan size. The necklace is adorned with the Easter egg, a type of gem made with porcelain or glass, and other different types of rhinestones.
And we also have green tourmaline rhinestones. We have pink aurora borealis rhinestones. We have orange rhinestones.
A necklace of this quality, with its combinations of different exquisite rhinestones, would be sold at...
We sell for between $800 and $1,000.
Oh, go Grandma.
7 years into living there, they discovered it while rewiring the attic. It's a photograph by Carleton Watkins, a prominent 19th century American photographer. Carleton Watkins is famous for his breathtaking 19th century landscape photos of the American West. The caption states it's Golden Gate Harbor in San Francisco Bay. In the background of the image, a cemetery stretches out, noticeable for its somber presence. The sizable photograph is an albumen print, common in the 19th century. They might have been trying to frame it and ended up trimming about 3 inches from the top. The tears in the pictures don't bother much since it can be seamlessly repaired. Watkins's work both documented the landscape and inspired conservation efforts and nature appreciation. In awe of its pristine beauty and historical significance, the appraiser valued the item.
Would be $4,000 to $6,000. So thank you very much for bringing it in.
No matter how famous you are, one of the worst ways to be remembered is as the Mad Nijinsky.
Basically, it's a press release. And he was, of course, the greatest dancer.
But that's how one of the most famous dancers of all time, Vaslav Nijinsky, was remembered as due to his mental problems. We can see here a letter from neurologist Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung stating that they had never met Nijinsky, even though these men were experts in neurology and psychiatry, respectively.
I've never seen his artwork. This is the original letter. It's in German.
And most would think that they had attempted to cure him of his mental breakdowns. As iconic figures in modern medical history, the letters of these men would fetch...
Would be, for the 2 letters, $15,000 to $20,000.
Oh my goodness.
Serving as a testament to the artistry of the Native Americans, This Zuni frog pot was created from sheer expertise and creativity.
I saw a pot similar to it under the Zuni display, and so I thought, well, it must not be Navajo, it must be Zuni.
Despite its traditional design, this item has withstood the test of time and remained sturdy despite its damage. This pot was crafted by the Zuni tribe of Native Americans. These patterns also meant sustenance for their crops to grow. As this is one of the early forms of tribal art, this pot would auction for,
I think you're looking at $15,000 to $25,000.
Oh my gosh. That's unbelievable.
crafted in honor of one of the greatest poets of all time,
a gift from a dear friend about 10 years ago.
Geoffrey Chaucer. This book is a timeless treasure. Despite being published in 1602, many years after Chaucer's time, this book, despite being a fragile piece, has lasted hundreds of years. It's made from calfskin, enhancing its longevity. The book is titled The Works of Our Ancient and Learned English Poet, Geoffrey Chaucer, and was published by Adam Islip in 1602. The book is highly detailed and provides insights into the father of English literature, Geoffrey Chaucer. Given its significance in English literary history, this item would fetch
today's market and insurance value for the book would be around $8,000.
Okay.
If early innovations were represented by a figurine, it might be this Indian automaton. Crafted by a French company called Lambert around 1895, this automaton was one of the early pieces of musical dolls. It is equipped with a tea-serving mechanism and a melodic music box. Despite being damaged by fire, the automaton's intricate details remain intact. Automatons operate based on a set of instructions. Given its historical significance as an early piece of technology, it would likely auction for...
Your guy would probably retail at the $8,000 to $10,000 price, even in this shape.
If handmade items were to be valued like gold, then these spurs, crafted by Joe Bianchi, would be among the most prized.
I don't know anything about them except they were called Victoria spurs and supposedly handmade.
These spurs are used by horse riders to encourage their horses to move faster, and they were also known as bottle openers due to the shape of the shank, and also because they were used to open bottles. These spurs are identified as Joe Bianchi pieces because they are mounted with silver coins, and they also bear a stamp on the side. At auction, these meticulously crafted spurs would likely fetch...
I think they would probably bring, conservatively, $3,000 to $3,500.
Often considered the most collectible of 19th century glass items, today's piece is a paperweight and was handed down to our guest as an inheritance. It's a paperweight from a famous paperweight company called Clichy, and as with paperweights from this company, it features little flowers called Clichy rose. This paperweight was made circa 1850.
The Clichy, Baccarat, and Saint Louis at that point were the premier paperweight makers in the world.
And, as can be seen, was crafted with meticulous craftsmanship. This piece, considered among the finest examples of glass paperweight artistry, would be auctioned at...
I would say that a good estimate for it would be right around $2,000.
Oh, wow.
So
Great.
It's a very nice weight.
Thank you.
Mistaken for glass that has been chemically treated, we have on the show today a collectible type of pressed glass. To be more precise, it's satin glass and was passed down to our guest as an inheritance. Paired with this piece is a silver-plated holder. The silver-plated holder was made by the Wilcox Company.
Made by Wilcox, and they are in Meriden, Connecticut, yes. But it is made by Wilcox.
Upon turning the satin glass, we see incorporations of a zigzag pattern design, along with ruffles design on the edge. Another quite interesting fact about this piece is that it is a two-colored satin glass.
It's a two-color piece, which, as you mentioned, is a rarity in satin glass,
with flowery designs incorporated into the inside part of the artistry. Everything about this piece is quite unique, starting from the design of the satin glass to the silver-plated holder, and as such, it would be valued at...
of $2,500 to $3,500.
Wow. That's exciting.
Behold an 18th century German trunk, a rare gem that has journeyed through time. This German painted trunk is a cherished family heirloom that has been passed down for generations.
And you can see that there's a till on that side, which would have been for smaller things. It's got this great 18th century.
The trunk exudes a fascinating history, having traveled with its owner through the Civil War, where it was once chopped into by Confederates on patrol.
And enmeshed in this is not only this kind of history of a particular furniture form, but also a piece of American history.
It features an 18th century grab lock and painted panels. This German trunk is a captivating piece of history that will continue to intrigue for generations with a price value of
$8,000 to $12,000.
Wow.
Purchased at an online auction, this piece is not a regular drawing, but an unusual piece that intrigues the viewer with its distinctive blend of figurative abstraction, a hallmark of George Condo, who was an American visual artist. He worked in painting, drawing, sculpture, and printmaking.
He was friends with Andy Warhol's factory folks, and also collaborated with William Burroughs, the writer.
Part of the 1980s New York art scene, Condo's work is prized in the contemporary art circle. However, this Condo drawing captivates with its unusual connections to the vibrant 1980s New York art scene and is valued at...
I'd value this piece at between $1,500 and $3,000.
Wow.
Clothes are known to degrade fast, yet this colonial dress from the 19th century is remarkably well preserved.
The only provenance I have dates it back to 1876 in the Philadelphia Exposition, where it was worn in the Connecticut Pavilion.
Crafted from fabric dating back to the 1700s, this dress was the epitome of elegance and desired by many women of its time. It featured mutton sleeves, adding to its distinctive appearance.
The first time that this was really hot was 1820s. This style of this dress is basically 1825 to 28.
And was highly fashionable during the 1820s. The dress fabric is adorned with rose engravings reflecting the prominent style of the period from 1825 to 1828. Given its colonial origin and excellent condition, this dress would likely fetch
the price $1,200 to $1,500 in today's market.
Wow.
This collection stands as a testament to German craftsmanship. Each figure is a tiny masterpiece, reflecting the artistry of its makers. This miniature figure, once used as a Christmas ornament, dates back to around 1900 to 1910 and holds sentimental value as an inheritance. Also, these intricately crafted figures are rare and sought after. Perfect for collectors, these figures embody historical charm with a price value of
close to $5,000.
Wow. That's interesting.
This highly translucent jade bowl is a dream come true for collectors.
It is white jade. It's a beautiful, highly translucent white jade.
Crafted from the precious stone jade, this bowl qualifies as a jewel due to its unique luster and remarkably thin appearance, implying the work of a skilled craftsman. It dates back to around 1895, and engraved on the exterior of the bowl are 4 emblems. These emblems represent the famed 8 Chinese immortals, which symbolizes the superior strength and craftsmanship of the bowl. Considering its representation of Chinese magnificence, this bowl would fetch a significant price of...
Very conservatively at auction, would sell between $3,000 to $5,000.
This Hopi pot, attributed to Nampeyo, embodies the rich tradition of Hopi pottery. It is a beautiful example of traditional Native American pottery, featuring intricate designs and craftsmanship typical of the Hopi tribe.
It was made by Nampeyo, who's the matriarch of Hopi pottery.
The pot likely dates back to the late 19th or early 20th century, a period when Hopi pottery flourished. The pot's delicate yet bold patterns are characteristic of the region, often representing elements of nature, ceremonial motifs, and spiritual beliefs.
Nampeyo's daughter, Fanny Nampeo, was a very important piece of the picture because around the 1920s, as Nampeo started to lose her sight.
Crafted with a traditional coil and scrape technique, the pot demonstrates the skilled craftsmanship of its maker and is worth
Would sell for between $30,000 and $50,000.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it even more.
You gasped.
This guest has been collecting furniture from 1960s, each piece representing a cherished find. This North Carolina tall chest made of walnut primary wood and yellow pine secondary wood dates back to the late 18th or early 19th century. Highlighting the Germanic cabinet-making traditions, the appraiser traced the chest's origin from Pennsylvania to Virginia and finally to North Carolina. The guest and appraiser marveled at its distinct features, such as the drawer arches and fluted quarter columns. Amidst the discussion, the appraiser confidently identified it as a Southern piece, likely crafted in North Carolina, citing the family's ties to the region. Reflecting on its value, the guest revealed her modest acquisition cost in 1988, prompting the appraiser to estimate its worth conservatively at
This chest is worth $12,000 to $18,000.
How wonderful.
Alaskan creativity is often overlooked. However, this wall pocket, crafted by the Tlingit tribe, epitomized style in the 1880s. These items were crafted by female members of the Tlingit tribe, and on the item we have an orca and a frog depicted. Each animal represents a clan. Additionally, there is a double-headed eagle representing the Russian Empire.
Now, there is a history of Russian Orthodoxy in this part of the world, and I'm not sure whether she was part of that or not, or just used it because it was a rather nice symbol.
Contrary to being made solely for tribal use, this item was crafted for sale and tourism. As a symbol of Alaskan creativity, this Tlingit wall pocket would fetch
A retail value would be $2,500 to $3,000.
Marvelous.
The guest Grammy Mackis, her husband and great-grandfather, owned a store in Cleveland and traveled extensively, acquiring various items, including this jar. While admiring its beauty, the guest was eventually given the jar by her Grammy. The appraiser explained that most jars like this were used as water containers and identified it as originating from New Mexico. Initially thought to be an Acomo Pueblo jar due to its design, it was clarified that it is actually from the Laguna Pueblo. This identification was supported by the jar's thickness and the floral design, which are characteristic of Laguna rather than Acomo Pueblo jars. The jar was dated to between 1900 and 1920 and referred to by its Spanish name, olla, a common term for jars of this shape. The white coloring on the jar was achieved through a method known as rag wipe, where the mineral solution was wiped on with a rag before firing. The black overpainted design was applied with a very fine brush, likely made from animal or human hair. The jar was handmade from locally dug clay, processed by hand, and formed using a coiling technique. The appraiser pointed out the ribs of the coil and the domed bottom, features typical of the Acomo pots, but with the thickness indicating a Laguna origin. To the guest's amazement, the appraiser estimated its current market value at an art gallery to be
somewhere between $3,000 and $3,500.
Wow.